In the highly scrutinized world of royalty, where every action, gesture, and decision is examined under the harshest of lights, sometimes the most shocking twists come from the most unexpected corners. For years, Queen Camilla had been the steadfast companion to King Charles, standing by him through countless storms, public scandals, and personal heartache. She weathered the turmoil that followed their love affair, the whispers and judgment of the British public, and the media frenzy that followed them like an insatiable shadow. Yet, in a move that has left the royal family and the nation stunned, King Charles has decided to leave her out of his will. This bombshell, though shrouded in secrecy until now, raises countless questions that go far beyond the typical affairs of the royal household. Why, after all that they have been through, has Charles made this shocking decision? What does this mean for Camilla's future in the royal family? And perhaps most pressing of all, what does it mean for the monarchy itself? The repercussions of this move could be more far-reaching than anyone could have predicted, and as the situation unravels, it becomes clear that there is far more to this story than meets the eye. While the public image of Charles and Camilla's marriage has often been painted as a picture of loyalty and unity, the truth has always been far more complicated. Behind the glossy portraits and grand royal appearances, those close to the royal family have long whispered about tensions between the king and queen consort. Their once fiery connection, built on decades of love and shared history, had begun to show signs of wear. It seemed as though, despite their enduring partnership, their relationship was facing an unspoken, unacknowledged distance. There were subtle signs of strain, private moments when Charles, now king, seemed to withdraw, his mind consumed by the weight of his duties. And Camilla, ever the graceful consort, tried her best to stay in the background, supportive but silently suffering. But as the years went by, the cracks in their once solid bond became more apparent. As the queen consort continued to fulfill her royal obligations with poise and dignity, those closest to her began to see the toll it was taking. Her patience was wearing thin. And yet, Charles, burdened by the demands of his new position as monarch, appeared oblivious to the growing tension in their marriage. What had once been a relationship of mutual respect and love began to feel increasingly like an alliance born more out of obligation than passion. Much of this growing distance can be traced back to the king's health, an issue that has become a point of concern for those close to the monarch. In recent months, Charles's physical and emotional well-being has been on the decline, and the royal family has quietly, but urgently, sought to address his declining health. The constant demands of royal life, travel, ceremonial duties, meetings, and the expectation to always be at the top of his game, have left the king exhausted. There are those who suggest that Charles, increasingly preoccupied with his health and his royal responsibilities, has pushed Camilla to the sidelines, unable or unwilling to see her needs and desires as equally important. A source close to the royal family revealed that Charles's health struggles have become a central focus of his daily life. Charles is feeling the weight of his position more than ever before, the insider said. He's determined to leave behind a legacy, and in his mind, that means putting the monarchy above everything else, even above his marriage. The pressure to fulfill his royal duties is immense, and while Camilla had always understood this dynamic, the strain was beginning to show. Her once quiet support had slowly turned into quiet frustration. As the king grew more consumed by the responsibilities of being monarch, Camilla, who had always stood by him, began to feel like an afterthought. It was a cruel irony. After so many years of supporting him, through the darkest days of their scandalous affair and public scrutiny, she was now being cast aside, her role diminished. Despite her poised exterior, those closest to Camilla have long known that her emotional journey has been fraught with quiet suffering. The woman who once seemed the picture of strength had slowly begun to question her place in the royal family. The promises Charles had made to her, especially after their wedding, had started to feel hollow. She had sacrificed so much for him and for the monarchy, but in recent months, her sense of being a true partner to the king had eroded. One insider, speaking on the condition of anonymity, shared that Camilla had long been concerned about their future. She had been feeling more and more invisible in their relationship. The king was so focused on his role that he couldn't see her struggle. He couldn't see that Camilla had her own hopes, her own dreams beyond being the queen consort. This growing sense of emotional isolation led to several private conversations between the royal couple. During one particularly tense evening, Camilla is said to have confronted Charles, her voice heavy with emotion, saying, "I have always stood by you, Charles. But do you even see me anymore?" The king, visibly tired, reportedly responded, "I've always seen you, Camilla, but I cannot afford distractions. The crown demands more than I can give." The words, though spoken in a quiet tone, were deeply cutting for the queen consort, signaling a rift that would only deepen in the months to come. As the months passed, and Charles's health continued to worsen, a decision was quietly made. A decision that no one saw coming, least of all Camilla herself. She was excluded from King Charles's will. For a woman who had stood by him through thick and thin, who had weathered the storms of public scandal, had sacrificed her own happiness for the sake of the monarchy, this was a stunning blow. To be left out of a document that would secure her future was nothing short of a betrayal in her eyes. The revelation of the exclusion sent shockwaves through the royal family. Staffers at the palace were reportedly left in disbelief. No one could have imagined Charles would do something like this, one source close to the palace revealed. Camilla has been his closest confidant, the person who has stood by him when the world turned its back on him. For this to happen, especially at this stage in their marriage, is nothing short of devastating. The public fallout was immediate, with commentators and royal watchers alike speculating about the true nature of the rift between the king and queen consort. Was this truly a decision born out of practical necessity, or was it an indication that the marriage was no longer as solid as it once appeared? In the days following the revelation, Camilla, devastated and heartbroken, confronted Charles in a private audience. "How could you do this to me?" she reportedly asked, her voice thick with emotion. "After everything, after all I've given to you and the crown, this is how you repay me?" Charles, ever the monarch, remained calm, even detached. "Camilla, I never intended to hurt you," he said. "But the monarchy must come first. We both know that. I have made my decisions with the future in mind. This is the way forward." Camilla, tears welling in her eyes, responded sharply, "What future are you talking about, Charles? A future without me?" Their confrontation, which took place behind closed doors, was reportedly charged with raw emotion. The king, once so deeply in love with Camilla, had now become an unrecognizable figure, a man so consumed by the weight of his royal duties that he had lost sight of the woman who had once been his greatest support. With Charles's health declining, and his relationship with Camilla now hanging by a thread, the future of the monarchy seems to be at a crossroads. What role, if any, will Queen Camilla play in the royal family's future? Will she continue to stand by her husband's side, despite the exclusion from his will and the heartbreak that has come with it? Or will she finally decide to break free from the shackles of royal duty and reclaim her own life? As the days go by, the monarchy finds itself in uncharted waters. Camilla, once the quiet force behind Charles, now faces a future that is uncertain and fraught with tension. The twists and turns of their relationship, once the subject of fascination and intrigue, have now become a source of intense speculation. For the royal family, the ramifications of this betrayal will be felt for years to come. The monarchy, which has endured centuries of change, is now at a moment of reckoning. And whether Camilla finds a way to reclaim her position within the royal family or fades into the background remains to be seen. One thing is for certain, this royal drama is far from over, and it promises to captivate the world for years to come.